Hello and welcome back to NRI Woman, the show where we share amazing stories of women of Indian origin living across the world. We hope in sharing these stories, you are inspired, learn something new, or simply know you are not alone in the struggles you face. I'm Bettina.
And I'm Nanora. Our guest today is Roshni Patel, a trailblazer who's carved her path in the world of PR marketing for high-profile South Asian celebrities based in North America. Not just that, she's also dabbled in the healthcare industry and even rocked the real estate scene, all while passionately pursuing her brainchild, urbanasian.com, which today has over 231,000 followers on Instagram. But her journey to this point is nothing short of remarkable. Imagine a young girl growing up in the sunny streets of Tampa, Florida, where her family stood as pioneers, one of the very first Indian families in the Tampa Bay area. Her parents, visionaries in their own right, set up the region's inaugural Indian grocery store. And her father even ignited a media revolution with his own radio station, Radio Asia. But that was just the beginning.
As the years unfolded, her father's endeavors took an exciting turn, venturing into the world of Indian cinema and becoming a film distributor. This fire for entrepreneurship and media innovation burned bright in Roshni's DNA. She didn't just follow her father's footsteps, she sprinted alongside them. Working with Composite, a company that shook up the UK scene by marketing South Asian stars like Jay Sean, Raghav, Sona Family, DJ Kaper, and more. She thrived in this world of glitz and glamour. But her journey took an unexpected twist.
When I left Composite, the company had dissolved in New York, and I still had a lot of contacts in the South Asian industry, and everybody was just saying, why not just open up a website where we can talk about news? So I started a website called Miss Roshni. I started just doing some side articles just for fun, and I wasn't sure why. I was just getting a lot of traction, a lot of contacts, and a lot of emails about promoting their album or their music or their brand. And then one of my friends who lives in Los Angeles, they're twins, Aman and Amar Sayal, they had approached me and said, why don't we open a website for South Asians? So we started Urban Asian in October 2010. And we bought a WordPress website. We bought a domain name, and we just started blogging. And one thing led to another, and we just got flooded with emails every day saying, can you write an article about us? And because I was so passionate about promoting other brands and promoting the young generation, whether it be someone that plays sports or someone who's opened up a website selling clothes, or even just talking about mental health or whatever the case may be, we wanted to tell those stories.
Just like many of us, Roshni was no stranger to a busy schedule. Her daytime gig in the healthcare industry was no walk in the park, demanding her time and energy with long hours. And to keep the engine of Urban Asian running smoothly, she often found herself burning the midnight oil, staying up until the wee hours of 1 or 2 in the morning just to stay in sync with her far-flung team located in different corners of the world. But then the world experienced a seismic shift that no one had anticipated, the arrival of COVID-19 pandemic. Like countless others across the globe, Roshni's life was dramatically upended. It forced her to don a new hat, steering her career in a fresh direction, one she hadn't quite planned for.
So real estate, actually, I work for a company that does lending for real estate. So I worked in the healthcare industry for about 15 years. And then last year, because of COVID and everything, the company kind of laid a lot of people off. So this was just something that I picked up last year. And I'm actually kind of glad that I did, because when I was working in healthcare, it was just, you come home from work, you're cooking and doing your errands, and you're back on the computer working. With my new job, I didn't have to do that. So I got a little better day-to-day errands, or, because the fact is that, Urban Asian, I was up till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning because of the time difference in India. And today I actually kind of get more sleep because I'm working for a company that allows me to work on my side hustles.
Life is full of surprises. Sometimes, these surprises can bring both challenges and opportunities. When COVID-19 came along, it gave Roshni a chance to reevaluate what really mattered to her and focus on her true passions. But that's not the only time her life took an unexpected turn. When Roshni was young and had just moved to Tampa with her family, another unexpected event changed her life forever.
I was living in a small town in Tampa when my parents moved here from London. And, obviously you're young, you want to go outside and play on a bicycle with your friends. So one day I went on a bike ride with one of my neighbors, and we were just riding our bikes, and somehow my bike got out of control on the gear, and I fell. I wasn't wearing a helmet. And so when I fell off my bike, my head hit the road, like the concrete road. So they didn't know because when they read the MRI, the doctor at that time was like, "Oh, you're fine." But then I started getting seizure spells. My little sister, she started noticing that I wasn't responding. And back then, my mom wasn't really as educated. Like, she didn't know what was going on. So she took me to my pediatrician at that time. It was a pediatrician, one of my PCPs back then. And they said, "Listen, I think we need to get her checked with a neurologist." And that's when they found out that they didn't even know that I was epileptic. So for about a year, luckily my little sister was the first one to find out that something was wrong with me. I was in the kitchen doing dishes, and I stopped doing the dishes, and I started rolling my eyes. And my sister, her name is Chandani, she's the one that told my mom, like, "Okay, I don't think something's right with her." And that's when they were like, "Okay, fine, let's take her to the hospital, get her checked." And then that's when they diagnosed me with epilepsy, and they said it was due to the injury. And then from there on, I was on medication. And I forgot to add that when I turned 15 or 16, they put me on a medication called Depakote. It was called phenobarbital. Phenobarbital was the name of the medication that was prescribed to me. A few months later, I was overdosed by a pharmacist at Walgreens. So my parents had to sue the company for overdosing. I almost lost my life around that age because, you're on 50 milligrams and the the pharmacist is putting you on 150, and you don't realize it. And the bottle said 50 milligrams, but inside was 150. So for a whole month, I was taking the wrong dosage, and that led me to being overdosed at that time.
For Roshni, this tough experience was more than just a difficult time in her life. It changed how she could live in the world. What made it even harder was that she didn't choose the rules and restrictions that it came with. She found herself in a situation where she had no say in what was happening. She had no other option but to adapt and figure out how to deal with the challenges that kept coming her way. Through it all, she learned to navigate a world that seemed to be working against her. And in the process, she discovered just how strong and determined she truly was.
It was very traumatizing. It was scary because, in the state of Florida, there's a law stating you cannot drive unless you're 6 to 1 year seizure free. So it was difficult. There were times where I just wanted to throw myself out the window because just, you don't realize that with a diagnosis like that, it could prevent you from doing other things in life, because it's that one little thing can affect your whole entire life. And that's what it did for me. So I tried to keep myself busy. I, started blogging. I worked in the entertainment industry because, as you know, if you keep busy, you don't think about those things in the back of your mind. There were some times where, I wasn't doing anything and I'd have, breakdowns. I would start crying hysterically. And I couldn't tell my parents because, today's South Asian parents would be like, "Oh, it's fine. Don't worry. You'll get over it." But that's not the case. I think it's really important to have these conversations with our mothers and fathers so that they understand that it does affect you mentally and physically. And you can't boggle it inside, or you're just gonna burst. So yeah, I've lived that with that diagnosis for half of my life, but luckily over time I've been getting better, thanks to my husband. He's been very supportive and always taking good care of me. So yeah, that those are some tough times in my life.
As a teenager, Roshni was navigating a turbulent time in her life, grappling with circumstances that she couldn't fully comprehend without the support she desperately needed. These experiences left her with a profound sense of confusion and isolation. Now, as an adult, Roshni wants to share her story, not only to provide comfort and guidance to those who may encounter similar difficulties, but also to offer a valuable perspective to the adults who are raising and guiding teenagers. She hopes that her experiences can shed light on the complex and often tumultuous world of adolescence, enabling adults to better connect with and support the young people in their care.
I'm not a mental health expert, but I can say when I started talking to my parents about it, I kind of sat them down, and I actually started telling them these things after I got married, which was too late in the game. I wish I had told them a long time ago. That's the one thing I regret, because my mom was born in India. My dad was born both my parents were born in Kenya. And they grew up in a family where you weren't allowed to say anything, and you would just brush it off. But after I got married, I started opening up to my mom and my dad. I got that confidence, and I think South Asian parents need to understand that there's so many other cases in other ethnic groups where kids are committing suicide, or they're, running away from home, or they're taking drugs and not telling their parents, or, whatever the case may be, especially in the Caucasian community, there's so many stories. So why, and American parents, they seem to also do the same thing. But I think the problem in our society is that people feel embarrassed. And I think that's the wrong impression. People should not feel embarrassed, because what's to be embarrassed about? If we are, putting on the wrong pair of shoes in public, we just laugh at it. There's things we laugh at ourselves in public, right? I mean, I'm sure we've all done it, where we've done things wrong and you're like, oh man, I'm such an idiot. I did this incorrectly. But as far as mental health stories or talking about your issues, I think it's really important for American and especially Indian parents to understand that if your kids do not talk about it, then you're going to regret it. And to all the South Asian parents in the world, let your kid talk about it. There's this stigma in India that, you're not supposed to talk about this. You're not supposed to talk about menstrual period. You're not to talk about there's certain topics you're not allowed to talk about. And we need to change that mindset, because we're in the 21st century. Are we going to wait 50 more years for people to, start opening up their hearts to their families? I don't think we shouldn't do that. We should start talking now. I think, and it all goes back to India. I shouldn't point fingers, or any South Asian country, is that we follow the rules that our grandparents embedded to us, and then it goes down the lineage, right? So I think we need to change that mindset. We need to kind of bend the rules. Time is changing now. Things are changing in the world, so it's really important. There's some things that, yes, we keep in our, that are the same, right? But when it comes to this sort of topic, it's really important to change the mindset. I was just talking to one of my friends the other day, who's a big TV actor in Bombay, and he and I were talking about stigma in India, and he says, Roshni, we need to start talking about menstrual health. A lot of men are ashamed to talk about it. A lot of men are ashamed to talk about even sex, or menstrual health, or mental health, or abuse, and these topics need to change. We need to have these conversations. We need to have this dialogue, or things are just going to get worse. I mean, if you look at South Asia, they've got the most amount of suicides in the world. And it's heartbreaking to see that. Because why? Because we don't reach out to them, and we don't talk to them, or they don't talk to us. And people need to really reach out to their friends and peers to make sure that they're okay.
Roshni holds a deep conviction in the importance of open conversations about mental health. She recognizes that our external successes, the face we present to the world, don't always reveal the inner battles we might be fighting. It's a truth that she has come to understand through her own experiences. She realized that even when everything appears to be going well on the surface, one can still be grappling with internal struggles, and that it's okay to seek help and support. Through her own process of self-discovery and healing, Roshni has gained valuable insights into managing her mental health. Her message is clear. You're not alone, and there are ways to find strength and hope even in the midst of personal battles.
That time, which I don't even know what my journal is, I wish I knew. At that time, I was 14, 15, where I used to write in that book, and I used to write like song lyrics too. And because I couldn't tell my parents anything, they would just be like, go in your room, go study, you'll be fine. And at that time, you're a kid, you don't understand these things. You're just listening to your parents. You're like, okay, fine, just let it go. But there were times where I would just break down and go to my room and cry. And, I wish I had told my parents sooner that I'm not feeling well. I mean, my grades dropped when I was in 6th grade. I went from a C to a D in my reading class, and I love reading. And it was because of the overdose that I had. And my mom had to pull me out of school, to put me in a different school, because my education skills started deteriorating, because that's when they found out that I was on the overdose of the medication. But as far as like the whole entire life period from 13 and on, or till today, I just kind of told myself, I put my foot down. When I turned around 18, 19 and I went to college, I was promoting a lot of parties and, going to classes and stuff like that. A lot of people that were in my circle were telling me, oh, I had people that didn't want to even hang out with me because of my illness. And I was heartbroken that people would choose certain type of friends back then. But it didn't put me down. It kind of put me into a position where I needed to fight even harder. So yeah, there have been times where people have, said things that did hurt, but then again, you just have to work 10 times harder and just, brush it off and keep going. And I think that's what has grounded me. I've as of today, I've had so many supportive friends in Bombay and in London who are, always willing to work with me. And that led me to doing my public relations company as well. I just want to add that because there's so many people in the Asian industry that are looking for public relations. And they've after hearing my stories in several media outlets, people didn't really know about who the real Roshni was. So I think it was time for me to tell my story and say, listen, I'm not just a normal person. There's a full story behind me, and that's what I want people to hear, because again, back to mental health, it's really important to talk about these issues.
Roshni is not one to settle for mediocrity, and her aspirations for Urban Asian reflect her ambitious vision.
My goal was, okay, a lot of Indian people will read my website, but when will Spanish people read my website? When will African Americans read my website? That's the most important thing. And they love our culture, I grew up in a Spanish neighborhood. And, as half of Florida is all Hispanic. So I've got a lot of Hispanic friends who love the Indian culture. And we're starting to finally see that there are other people out there that are not Desi that are reading our website. And I'm so proud of that, because there's a huge gap between South Asians, the South Asian culture versus the non-South Asian culture.
In our lives, there exist individuals whose presence is more than just a simple stroke of luck. They are the guiding light, the pillars of support, who propel us to strive for excellence and become the best versions of ourselves. It's a true blessing when we encounter not just one, but multiple such remarkable souls along our journey. Roshni is one of those fortunate individuals who can count herself amongst the blessed. In her life, there have been and continue to be mentors, friends, and family members who play these pivotal roles. They are the ones who have not only recognized her potential, but have also gone the extra mile to nurture it.
I want to give a shout out to my father, Mahesh Patel, because he does play a partial role in this, because if he wasn't in the film industry or the radio industry, I would have never gotten into this. I probably would have just become doing corporate job 9 to 5 and being a housewife. So my Masi, my mom's sister, her name is Josna. She lives in California. She's one person I can pick up the phone and talk to her for like several hours, and she loves politics. We do talk about politics with her. We'll talk about family, and she's a very entrepreneur person, and she's always given me advice about just to go for it. And, if anybody steps in your way, don't let that happen. Just keep going, because people will put you down over a lifetime period, but you just got to keep your ground together. You got to put your foot on the ground and just keep going. And, we've all gone through struggles in life where, we're at that point in life where we just want to give up on things. But then mentally and physically, you're just like, I was at a point in the middle of Urban Asian where I just wanted to quit. And I wanted to tell the boys, I can't do this anymore. But then I thought to myself, why do I want to be a quitter? Just because I'm overworked and underslept. And I just kept going. And my Masi was saying, look, you've come this far. You've done so much. And she told me one day, because you're so entrepreneur, I apparently get this quality from my mom's dad, my dada, because he was also more of like business minded. And so I kind of picked up, I guess they're saying that I picked up the trait from him. There's always someone in the family where you picked up a really cool trait from, and I'm sure you guys would know this. So yeah, my Masi has always given me advice to just keep going. Don't let anybody go in the way.
Roshni radiates a strength and determination that stems from within. Her story inspires us to believe in ourselves and embrace our potential, forging our unique paths in the world. So what is her message to other women as they navigate their own remarkable journeys?
Look at today's world right now, what's happening in the Middle East. There's so many women who won't be able to do what they love. And I think we really need to encourage our NRI women. Yeah, like my mom, I feel so bad for her. She had to drop out of school and marry my father. No offense. But they got married. They had an arranged marriage. But she wanted to become she studied psychology in Gurukul in India. And she had to drop out. And she worked 3 jobs raising me and my sister. It was difficult. It wasn't easy. And when I look back at it, I cry, because I'm like, shoot, she worked so hard for us and she didn't even get to fulfill her dreams because she's trying to fulfill our dreams. And I think, moms really, like all moms, all newlyweds need to really encourage everyone, every female out there to do something in life. I mean, look, don't ever feel as if you need to quit because of your corporate job, or your being a wife or being a mother job. Because I think if you're a mother, even if you're a wife, or even if you're a student, everyone should have some sort of side hustle. I think women today need to really be encouraged, especially husbands. Husbands really need to encourage their wives not just to be a housewife or a mother. They need to do other things, because I mean, let's face it, you'll go crazy. You got to have something else to keep you off those things. There were times where people would say, "Oh, you're not gonna do well with this website. It's not gonna work. It's really not gonna work. I think you should do something else." There were times when even South Asian women would tell me this, and it really didn't discourage me. It made me work even harder, because I don't know if it was jealousy, but I think we need to change that mindset, because South Asian women need to start supporting other South Asian women. It doesn't matter what they have. So yeah, I just want to say that, if someone is discouraging you on something, you have to work 10 times harder to prove them wrong. And don't do it for yourself. Just do it because you love it. If you love something, then go for it. You have to wake up every day not feeling like, oh God, today's Monday, I have to go to work. You want to wake up saying, oh my God, it's Monday. I'm going to go to work and I'm going to love my job.
Roshni's story shows why it's vital to learn about mental health. Understanding the different aspects of mental struggles helps us offer support without making people feel bad or judged. If we educate ourselves and our society, we can build a strong network of understanding and help people face mental health challenges.
As the renowned author and feminist Maya Angelou once beautifully said, "You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them." Roshni is a testament to the strength that resides within every individual, regardless of their gender. It underscores the idea that challenges are not roadblocks but opportunities for growth and empowerment. Her story is a reminder that we can all be bold, aspire to greatness, and extend a hand of support to our fellow trailblazers along the way. I'm Bettina.
And I'm Nanora. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope you'll join us again for our episode next week. We can be found at www.nriwoman.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Just look for NRI Woman. If you or someone you know has a story to share, please get in touch with us at hello@nriwoman.com or tweet us at NRI_woman. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at NRI Woman Podcast. Please help us spread the stories of these amazing women by sharing it with your family and friends. You can find the details to connect with the guest in our show notes. NRI Woman episodes come out every Wednesday, so make sure you subscribe. Until next time, keep learning, keep inspiring, and always be kind.